I think working at night for many people starts out with a lot of apprehension. They're going to a beach they've never been to at night. It's dark, and you're in an area that even if you've visited before in the daylight, you don't necessarily recognize at night. Your focus is limited to only the area that your headlight illuminates. It allows you really to focus on just what's in front of you and investigate that to the best you can. Community science at its roots is a little bit about science and a little bit about community, and in engaging that community to both add to our scientific knowledge, but also to teach the public about what's going on in their local habitats with the hope that they care about it and they want to learn more about it and they want to preserve it. Parapodia. Okay. So these are polychaete worms, meaning they're...
All of a sudden that slimy blob is actually a worm with eye spots. And then you're hearing the participants gush about how that worm is so cute. Something I just really love about what people gain from this program is a different appreciation for species that often get overlooked.
My name is Mike Behrens. I'm a professor at Pacific Lutheran University, where I teach marine biology and ecology, and I also work with Harbor WildWatch on many of their projects.
And I'm Stina Troyer, and I'm the science specialist with Harbor WildWatch.
Harbor WildWatch had been talking about community science for a really long time, so we started this program in 2013, but the conversations probably go back as early as 2008. And I have to admit, early in that process, I was not an advocate for community science. I finally was convinced that we found a system that could work, and once that happened and once we got out and did our first surveys in 2013, I realized we could collect data that I felt like was going to be useful, and it was really working well with our volunteers and engaging them in a whole different range of activities than we normally would.
Would you all agree for 1% ova intestinalis?
So the training for these programs are really on the go. The protocols are set up in a way that we bring people out into the field, teach them how to identify things, and then from there it's all about counting.
If you can count on your fingers and toes, you can do community science.
How many crabs?
One, just one.
One crab. And then percentage sea lettuce.
It's a magical thing to hear volunteers start the event calling out shrimpy thing, unidentified blob, and then by the end of the night you have 10-year-olds screaming out the scientific names of organisms like Heptocarpus.
Dylan, what can you tell us about a decorator crab?
They decorate themselves with stuff they find and try to blend in.
So what kind of
I
stuff?
think one of the things that catches people off guard a little bit is they've never looked closely at a small area of the beach. And we make our volunteers get on their hands and knees and look within a 1/4 square meter area and do so for 10 or 15 minutes and roll over rocks and look at for small things. And all of a sudden they're seeing species that they had never seen on the beach before. And that's a really special experience. We are trying to look at whether or not these communities are changing across time and in what ways they might be changing. And are those consistent with changes related to climate change or other human impacts? Since we've started, we've seen Pacific oysters establish themselves on many of these beaches that never had Pacific oysters before. And so that has been a change we've been monitoring across time. We've also worked with UC Santa Cruz to help monitor sea star wasting disease across many of these sites.
So many times there's the excuse, well, I'm not a scientist, so I can't understand this. And truly, we're all scientists. We're all out in the world making observations, and the oyster part is an exciting cheers to understanding the natural history and observing your beaches, because when you're looking at something often, you can start noticing if something's unexpected or different, and so recognizing these differences is a cool thing we get to do with our community science.
I think the future has sort of the boring and the exciting. So the boring might be we're going to continue to monitor these beaches as long as we can, and that might become repetitive for us, but the volunteers are always new, and so it will probably not become boring for them. And the exciting from my standpoint is linking our data to other people's data to look at changes more broadly across the Salish Sea, and also our ability to play a role in tracking large-scale changes, be that the next emerging disease in a marine organism, or a change due to climate change, or a change that's completely unexpected that we can't predict today. There just aren't enough scientists to do all of the work we need to do going forward to understand how communities are changing in the face of climate change and other human impacts. And community science allows us to do more and really answer those questions in more thorough ways than we would be able to if it were just left to the scientists.
That was beautiful.
Let him have his piece. He wants to go have some fun. No!
He is a nematode.
That's what it looked like.
How is it moving?
Undulating.
Only undulating?
It was doing the worms.
Oh.
Whoa.
Something just came off. So basically it uses these spaghetti-like extensions.
Enthusiastic searchers. Way to go. Nice job.